as he shares, Lord, his experiences, strengths, and hope. We just ask, Jesus, you be glorified in all of this, and we thank you for him, for Daniel. In Jesus' name, amen. You need anything?
No.
Okay. You got the podium, so it's all yours.
Evening. My name is Daniel Miller. I am a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I am a recovering drug addict, porn addict, an abuser, an all-around thug, user, use everything in my life, mainly people. But tonight, I just want to talk to you a little bit because I'm getting ready to leave, and I have to express to you what this Celebrate Recovery here has done for me, the way that it grabbed a hold of me at a time in my life when I was alone, at a time in my life when I had no wife. My wife had left me with my daughter. I had nothing. I was at a place, I had come to a place finally where God says, Daniel, this is the only place you're going to listen to. This is the only place where you're actually going to put yourself aside and listen to what I have for you. He called me out in 2005. He put a calling on my life, and I ran from it. I ignored it because I was so mixed up in being a victim of my past, of my childhood, of being who I thought people wanted me to be, and where I was comfortable is what it really was, because we know that we get in that victim mentality, it becomes a place of comfortability. Because in that place, people want to hear me. They want to talk to me because they feel bad for me. You see, my childhood was rough. I had a stepdad who broke my nose in third grade with the end of his belt, whipping me because I mowed outside of my lane in the yard, and was whipping me over the back, and the tip of it came and broke my nose. I didn't go to the hospital or nothing. And this dad I have a brother who's missing the tops of his fingers because we were so terrified of him that there was a rock underneath the lawnmower. It was us four boys' job now to go around the yard and to clean up. And well, we missed a rock. So my stepdad says, hey guys, there's a rock underneath here. So my brother reached underneath the running lawnmower to get the rock and chopped off the tips of his fingers. And see, so this is the place when people hear that, they're like, oh man, we feel bad for you. And they feel bad for me. And I got to a place where that became acceptable to me. I came to a place where I was comfortable with it. And I came to a place where I began to use it. And the fact that I was molested by my brother for 6 years. And that was my excuse for getting high. And I began to get high because getting high would cover up. It would it would put me in a place where I could deal with people. I could deal with me, for real. You see, I've always had a problem dealing with me. I've always had a problem thinking that I wasn't worth it. That I was the youngest of 6 kids. I thought I was nothing. I thought that here, if I'm someone who my brother can molest for all these years and no one will believe me, how can I be worth anything? How is there any worth in me? And I believed that about myself. And here's the funny thing. If I go up to one of you guys, Paul, if I walked up to you and I start calling you punk and all that, we're going to have words, aren't we? It might be. But you know what? The enemy can do it to us all day long. He can be in our head telling us we're worthless and we're trash and where there's nothing and we're going to be like this our whole life and all our life means is drugs and alcohol and sex. And we sit there and we'll listen to it all day long. But another person talks to us like that, we're ready to smash him. You see, and Jesus came, when I was here, he came to me, he's like, Daniel, there's that. I'm tired of you accepting this. I was in a bad way my first time here. I didn't know how I was going to make it, man. I really didn't. Them guys put me in the middle there. And they put hands on me. And I heard men just praying for me. The thing was, I could feel the love of God. I'd experienced Jesus. I'd accepted Jesus Christ, my Savior, November 12th, 2005. But sometimes the Spirit speaks to you in a moment. Sometimes we have them appointed times. And Jesus said, Daniel, I need you to stop. Enough is enough. I need you to understand that what I need you to deal with is going to break the chains off of addiction, off of sex addiction, porn addiction. I'm ready to slay your giant. That's what he did. He said, I'm ready to slay your giant. And when I'm done, I want you to cut his head off and lift it up to the world to see as a testimony as to who I am and what I can do in your life. I believed it. I was at a point in my life to what else did I have? What else? Where else can I turn? I couldn't keep turning to me. That had got me nowhere. I went to prison when I was 15 years old. On the lowest felony, smallest felony you can get in Kansas. The devil had set it up. And it's like he had planned these things in my life. It's like he knew the things to do to make me hate myself. Because he knew there was going to come a time when Jesus was going to call out to me, and I was either going to answer him or I wasn't. And if I answered him, devil, run. Because we're coming for you. And he didn't want that, you see. He wanted me not to believe myself. He wanted me to die in prison. When he brought the Aryan Brotherhood to my face in 1991, and they come to me and approach me, what do you say? In prison, you're either hunted by the pack or you're running with the pack. One of the two. And at that time, I didn't care anyway. All I wanted was to be the most feared person I could be. All I wanted to do was never be controlled again. That's what I wanted. I wanted to never have any human being have control over my life like my brother did and like my stepfather did. And so I determined I was going to be the most violent person I knew, because if I was, you wouldn't come after me. If you knew what I would do, you would leave me alone. And all that did was make me worse and worse. And the enemy sat back and laughed and laughed. And Jesus kept saving my life time and again. You see, while we were still sinners, when we were at enmity with God, he gave his life for us. He gave his son for us. Jesus Christ died for us while we hated him. And in 2005, he began to show me that the thing is, what he started to show me was, you got to question everything you've ever believed. You see, the ways of Jesus, leadership with Jesus, worship with Jesus, friendship in Jesus, is totally different than with the world. He doesn't want us to react and to act and to lead and to love the way the world does. He wants us to act and lead and love the way he did, the way he does. And he began to show this to me. He broke the racism from my heart when I had members of the Crips, high-ranking members, save my life. Literally, when I was ready, I was done, and they stepped in and saved my life for no reason. Because they wanted me to know love. They wanted me to see what it's like when your focus isn't just centered on one little group, but whenever your life is expanded with people. God made us for people. He made us for one another. I have a pastor that says the we is stronger than the me. And it's true. Because by myself, I'm weak. I'm alone with an idiot. You know? And I will talk myself into almost anything. That was a phrase I heard my first time here. I kept saying it. It's just me. I find myself alone with an idiot all the time. And I kind of think about that, and I'm like, man, you sure are right. I'll use that idiot to talk me up or talk me down or to talk me into anything. You know, and I just love that phrase. And it's true. Because the thing is I've always had the ability to either talk myself into something or talk myself out of it. But 9 times out of 10, I always talk myself into it. Because I didn't believe what 1 Corinthians said, that in any temptation, God's always going to give us a way out. And in addiction, and in codependency, there's always a way out. And the way out has always been the same. And the way out's never changed. And the way out's never going to change. And that way out is Jesus. He's always been Jesus. It's always going to be Jesus. And the quicker we get that, the quicker we latch onto it, the quicker we say, I have no power over anything in my life. I had lost my wife, my child. I lost a child once before, and she's 23 now. And when I thought about the fact of losing my little girl, I almost couldn't handle it. But the fact is my wife was never enough to keep me from using drugs. My kid was never enough to keep me from using drugs. I told my pastor, Phil, I said, Pastor, I love my little girl more than anything. He said, Daniel, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You know why? I said, he said, your actions don't show it. And he was right. I loved being a victim. I loved covering up my hurt, my shame, and my pain more than I loved any person, because that was real to me. That was real to me because I had control, I thought. In all actuality, it's no control at all. And what I learned when I came here, when the men prayed over me that night, and Jesus said, I'm here to set you free, man. I brought you here to set you free. And what I realized was, when I give up control, I'm freer than when I'm in control. When I give up my control to Jesus, when I gave him control and I said, Jesus, I'm done. I am finished. There's nothing more I can do to my life that's going to improve it. Nothing. There's no way Daniel can improve himself. I've tried, and I've almost killed myself. I have lumps in my arms from that stupid needle and that dope. And now, Jesus said, you put lumps in your arms. Let me put fire in your heart. Let me put some fight in your blood. Let me give you something to take and to spread to everybody else so that someone in your situation might say, Jesus, give me some CR. Give me some people, and I'm telling you, that's what makes this so vital. AA and NA, I'm sure they work for a lot of people, but what we have here that no one else has is we don't need a higher power. We need Jesus. We're going to put a name to it because we know what words do. We know the power of our words. I know the power of my words when I speak, and so I know when I say Jesus, it has power behind it. And Jesus gives us humility. Jesus gives us transparency. And that's what Celebrate Recovery has that other programs don't have. It's the transparency of being real because this is a safe place. Because Jesus Christ is around us, surrounding us, in us, and through us in this place. And his will be done here. His will be done in our life. And all we have to do is give up. Give it up. I know. I don't want to give up. I don't want to surrender to something. I've never reached out and touched Jesus. I'm going to give up my life to him? You bet you are. Because when you're really sick and tired of it, when you've really come to that place where nothing works anymore, where being a victim just don't cut it. There's no fulfillment in it. You've never taken a drink that's fulfilled you. I've never taken a drink that's fulfilled me. I've never taken a hit off a pipe that put meaning in me. I've never shot up 1 ounce of dope. I better not shoot up an ounce. I've never shot up any dope that put meaning in my life and purpose in my life. Not one time. Not one time have I ever been high and blessed somebody else's life or been blessed. Not one time have I drowned myself in sex, cheating on my wife, or anything else that made me a man. Not until I gave up did I become a man. Not until I realized that first thing first, order affects outcome. First of all, I got to get Jesus. And I got to get latched onto him whether I got my wife with me or not. Because without him, I will never be the man of God I'm called to be. I'll never be the father I'm called to be. I'll never be the husband I'm called to be. But when I surrender it and give it up to Jesus, he makes all things possible. I don't because I can't. And that's where I had been for so much of my life. I thought if I just keep this and keep these drugs and keep this sex, I can be somebody for a long time. I didn't even really want to go into prison too much. I'd go here and there, but then I'd sabotage myself because the thing is, I didn't want that because it convicted me. Because I knew I had a word for men in prison. I knew that I had an opportunity to show the men in prison that we could come out here and we could succeed. But I wasn't living that. But I knew the word was on my heart because Jesus put it there. And 2 weeks ago when I went back into Lansing prison and I saw them guys, I saw guys who knew me when I first came in, knew things that I had done when I first came in. These were guys out of the hole who knew all about me. And I'm like, oh, no. And they said, man, you can come in and talk to us because we know you've been there. Because we've seen you. Because we know what you were and we look at you now and we're like, what? And it's true. And that goes with us now. Celebrate Recovery is a breeding ground for us so that we can go out and testify to Jesus' goodness. Testify to the power of God over addiction, over codependency, over anger, over sex. He is the power. And when we come here and we keep it real, I don't care if we use yesterday. We keep coming back. When Ben gave his testimony of how many times he had been been coming here, and now he's got all these months clean, and I look at that and I think, man, I can't wait till I'm clean that long. Seems like a long time, but then I understand, man, Jesus does it. I don't do it. I don't keep myself clean. I can't keep myself clean. I'm powerless over it. I have no strength to keep myself clean 1 second. The only way I stay clean is Jesus. And when we get that message in us, and we take it out there to the world, we can change the world. Every single one of us is a testimony. We overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. That's why the enemy doesn't like it. Over there, where I'm moving to Vandalia, CRs are closing all over the place. Why? Because I believe people are losing their vision. I believe people are losing the vision that, look, this isn't about you. It's not about any one leader. It's not about any one member. It's about Jesus Christ being glorified in our lives. And when we catch that, when we really catch it, we're unstoppable. We're unstoppable. And more people are going to see it, claim it, get freedom from it, and the enemy hates it. And the enemy hates it. So when he plants that doubt in my mind, I don't listen to him like I used to. Now I snatch him up. And I say, I don't have to listen to you. Resist the devil and he will flee. Don't resist him. He's going to sit in your hip pocket all day long. But when we resist him, Jesus says that because it's true. The word says it, not because he ran out of things to say, but because it's the truth. We just don't want to grab onto it. And when we do, the power that Jesus gives us through him and through his blood and through his rising again, the world can't stand against it. Spiritual will always triumph over natural. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He's the only way to the Father. He's the only way to stop using. He's the only way to stay sober. He's the only way for me to be a husband, to be a father. Jesus is it. I'm here today because Jesus led me to CR. And because the man of God in CR sat me in the middle. Because he knew. Kirk said, man, I can see your pain. He said, I've been there. He said, I can feel it coming off you. And when the men prayed over me, some of the men, I don't even know if I've even heard them speaking yet. But I know that the words that they said that night, the power that they had because of their love. They loved me because they saw the pain. And they loved me because they have Jesus. And Jesus is the only way that we can love. And because of that night, I know I've only been sober 90 some days. That's okay. That's okay because I got to start somewhere. And I haven't been sober in 90 days in almost 4 years. But I'm sober today. And I'm in a place today where I'm surrounded by people who love me. I'm surrounded by people who will fight for me. See, that's the other part of it. Is, like I said, we can't do this alone, but we have to surround ourselves with people who want to walk this walk and fight this fight with us. And then when we get to a point, then we're that guy who walks that walk and fights that fight with somebody else. That's what he's called us to do. He's called us to build each other up. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens the countenance of another. That's what it's for, guys. We're here for each other. And that's what makes us stronger than any other recovery program. That's what makes us stronger, because it's not just a program, it's a lifestyle. Jesus isn't just a program we work. He's a lifestyle we live. And the more we walk in that, the more and more those addictions start losing their power. I ran into a lady today who was my dealer at a thrift store. And it's a lady I know has dope on her all the time. I can go get anything I want from her. I told my wife, I said, we got to get out of here. I ran into people lately also who I've used with, and it never affected me like it did this gal. Because I knew she was a dealer. She was in it. I knew she had it. But you know what happened? Jesus is faithful. He said, I got you, man. I got your back. You keep doing the next right thing, and I got you. I'm not going to leave you hanging. You keep stepping in the right direction. You keep putting me ahead of everything else. I got you. I'm not going to leave you there powerless. And he knew how weak I was at that point. But the wonderful thing about Jesus is the weaker we are, the stronger he is. And so when I said, Lindsay, we got to go. She's like, huh? No, not like that. She said, cuter. And we left. We went back an hour and a half later thinking, surely she's gone. She was still there. I said, devil, you putting this whole time on me today, ain't you? Well, yeah, he is. He don't want me coming to see her. He don't want me speaking. He don't want my testimony out. Why would he? I did so much work for him on the other side. Why would he want me over here working for Jesus, bringing the good news of Jesus Christ everywhere? He don't want us to be empowered. He don't want the Spirit of God moving inside of us. The same Spirit that rose Jesus from the dead is what's residing in us, and he don't want it moving. Because he wants us to believe that our only outlet, our only recourse, our only solution is addiction. And he don't want us to deal with our trauma. When I started dealing with the trauma of my childhood, and I started taking the power away from Satan, it also took the power away from them drugs. They no longer had any power over me because guess what? I don't need you anymore to cover up. I don't need you anymore to hide behind. There's nothing in my life now that I need to hide behind, that I need you. So you lose your power. And so Jesus, slay that giant. Let me cut his head off and let me hold it up for the world to see. Jesus is the way. The only way. Thank you. God bless you.